If the roar of the crowd gives you goosebumps, catching a slip makes you grin, and above all, you love making your bookie cry, then you're in the right place. The #1 spot for premier betting advice and wild opinions, shared with a fan base like no other. Welcome home. This is the Punch List MMA Podcast.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? As always, it's your boy Dale in here. The Punch List MMA Podcast. Flying solo tonight. We were supposed to have resident celebrity extraordinaire and UFC. I don't even want to call him, man. Knockout Kingpin. I don't know what we would call him. I'll come up with some super slick superlative to bless him with next week when he comes on. Supposed to have Drew Dober on the show this week. We had a little bit of a scheduling snafu. To be fair, this episode will be a little bit more concise than your average one. And with that being said, his schedule had to be shifted slightly. Me having not a lot of grace as far as time goes, and then him shifting. We're just like, let's just scrap it till next week. So that way it's not rushed. Austin, what's going on, man? Patrick, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Those of you who are unaware, I'll just drop it because I try to get everybody that has a show when they come in here as possibly can. If you're not familiar with Patrick's work, Addicted to Combat, check him out on YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff. High quality breakdowns, dude's super sharp, and he hits the gym. He's a large man, so probably not. I'm not like saying this like I'm like a specimen, but I don't know any other people in this space that are. He's bigger than me, and most of these dudes look like they live off tofu and hopes and dreams. You know, haven't seen the sun in a long time, but my man Patrick gets it in. So apparently, when I tell you guys to go out, eat red meat, and sun your balls, Patrick might be the only person that's listening. So kudos to you, my friend. Adam says, "Happy birthday!" Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. 37 years around the rock, or this rock around the sun, I guess would rather be the appropriate way to put it. To be honest with you, I didn't think I'd ever get this far, and that's not like some existential, esoteric, thought I was going to die young kind of thing. It's just, I almost feel like I operate at times as an adult with like imposter syndrome, where I look at myself and I see 18, 19, 20-year-old punk me, and I can't believe that I am like this grown man with responsibilities and all this stuff going on, and all these, like, I have all these people that depend on me and all these things, because I still feel like at times like I'm still the dude that was just being a general idiot for the, just my younger self. So it's interesting. I didn't think I'd get here, and I don't know if not to get deep on stuff, but I don't know if you can chalk things up to what you deserve and what you don't deserve, and fairness and all that stuff. But man, I'll tell you what, when I tell you I've been hit with some blessings in my life, I've had more than my fair share, more than if it's on a merit system, probably more than I've earned. That's for sure. This year's admittedly a little bit, this birthday rather is a little bit tougher than other ones. I won't get super far into it, but this will be my first birthday without my grandparents. Both of them passed this last year, so that sucks. So that's made today a little bit rougher, but other than that, it's been a good day. My kids sang me happy birthday, so I'm cool with that. All right, let's talk about fights. Oh man, PFL happened this last weekend. Lisa Pacheco beat Kayla Harrison. So women's science in full effect, man, in full effect. It's just, admittedly, I think Kayla Harrison at times was on that list of things, when I said no woman should be ranked higher or should come in at a minus 250 or higher. I think I've included Kayla Harrison on that list, but hats off to Pacheco. What is it, like their second or third time fighting? She made the adjustments and she got the W. She earned it. I mean, that was her win. She got it. Kudos to her. I played Julia Budd against Aspen Ladd. I don't believe that women should be heavy favorites in fights. and Julia Budd, depending on, I think if you were a Budd better, you thought she won that, but it is what it is. Patrick says, drinking a whiskey in your honor. Thank you, sir. I got a beer right here. No whiskey. But Bab says that was a great transgender main event. Hey man, we're breaking barriers here in the US, dude. Breaking barriers. The US men's national team, to switch over to football real quick, or soccer, won 1-0 today. Christian Pulisic took the all-time dick kick. Her knee, rather. Jake, producer Jake in the back. Did you see the knee that he took to the junk, dude? Oh boy, it's an all-timer. It is an all-timer. He got crushed. But they still managed to get it done. 1-0, very tense game against Iran or Iran, depending on what part of the country you're from. But yeah, they got it done. So kudos to them. I know I talk a lot of shit about some other stuff that they got going on, but always good to see the U.S. would get a win on the world stage. But okay. UFC Fight Night, it's not UFC Vegas 66. I screwed up the graphic here. I forgot they're in Orlando for this, so I'll switch that up. I know I got UFC Vegas 66, but it's gonna be UFC Orlando. I'll have to make that adjustment before I publish this. Headlined by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson taking on Kevin Holland. Keep in mind, I'll say it once we get closer to that fight, but this is essentially a hometown fight for Wonderboy. He was not able to fight in the UFC Greenville card. What was that, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? I think it was like one of the last ones pre-COVID. So he will. This is as close to a hometown fight card as he's ever going to get. And Simpsonville is like a quick 5-hour drive. 80 down 85, 385 and 85 right into Orlando. So this will be a very, very much a hometown show for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and just might be the kind of one you ended on, but we'll get to that when we get there. Same thing with Brian Barberena. Barberena's training out of Gym O in North Carolina, which isn't that far from me. Have a little bit of experience with the Gym O guys, and they're obviously a well organized, well trained group of guys. So he's not that far either. You're looking at about 7 hours or so. But again, it's a straight shot down the highway. Anything that you're not on a plane for, right, is pretty good. Okay, let's get after it here. Like I said, we're going to keep this one short and concise, probably a point counterpoint for each fight, and then we're rolling. One of the rare 15 fight cards. These are the ones I love. I love 15 fight cards because we've got early prelims, and main card. And it's just like we have a whole day set aside for violence, which I really, really enjoy. So we're going to go ahead and take these top 5. Kick it off the main card, Jack Hermanson at 23-7. Roman Dolidze at 11-1 with a quick turnaround. Roman Dolidze coming back. Roman Dolidze, again, disrespected on the number. Okay. Real quick, Jake, did you pulled odds for this right now to put those in? Did you get those off? Where are we getting? Bet Online or my bookie? Okay, on Bet Online. All right. So Roman Dolidze currently on Bet Online plus 167. I have seen the Dolidze line at plus 125. It is moving depending on where you're at. Jack Hermanson coming back at a minus 192. Over on around is it 2.5? If you can get Dolidze at the plus 160 mark, plus 150 mark, I think you have to take him here. Okay, cardio is Jack Hermanson's, right? Maybe even volume might be Jack Hermanson's, but overall physical strength and fortitude is going to be on the side of Roman Dolidze. And Roman is on, he's on a bit of a high note right now because he's coming off of a fantastic knockout win just a few short weeks ago when he knocked out Phil Hawes. Now, that was a round 1 fight, came out. He ripped Phil Hawes' knee essentially in half and then came out there and just crushed him, right? And then knocked him out because Phil Hawes was compromised and couldn't move. Before that, he knocked out Kyle Dawkins, who we're going to talk about here later on, in a win over Laureano Staropoli in what was a back-and-forth fight. The only loss in the UFC is coming to Trevin Giles, which I wasn't I don't know how much Trevin Giles won that fight is so much that they just didn't give it to Roman here. Now, the point above all else is the revelation that we had a couple weeks ago. Is that Roman Dolidze is going, at least on Tapology anyway, his nickname is the Caucasian. So I've been calling him the Caucasus Mountain Warrior for, I can't even tell you how long. I mean, he's the quintessential Caucasus Mountain Warrior, but he's going by the Caucasian. And I somehow did not know that. So of course, just show stipulations aside, I have to go with him here. But all that to say is I thought plus 155 against Phil Hawes was disrespectful. I think the plus 50, plus 50, plus 150, plus 160 mark is disrespectful here as well. So yeah, I'm on Roman here. I don't know if I necessarily take him by knockout, but I don't think Jack's going to submit him. I think Jack might be able to outwork him over 3 rounds, but Roman is not Chris Curtis. And Jack Hermanson lost a split decision to Sean Strickland, lost to Marvin Vettori. If you're looking at his wins, the last 3 years, almost 4, the only wins he has are over Kelvin Gastelum, Edmund Shabazian, and Chris Curtis. So I don't know what Roman Dolidze's ceiling is, but this will kind of let us know where that lands. So I'm on Roman based off momentum, based on the ability to finish this fight, right? Like I talked about before, one of the things that's been killing me this year is betting guys money line or girls money line that really don't have much of a shot at finishing the fight. I don't believe Jack Hermanson poses much of a threat outside of a exhaustive cardio TKO anywhere for Roman Dolidze. He can wear him down. He can grind him out. Maybe he can get him out of there. That's about it. I think Roman has better shots of winning the fight. So I'm going to take Roman here, taking a flyer on him. First play of the night, and it's going to be plus money. Austin, appreciate the birthday wishes. And Eric, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping through. It means a lot. Okay. Next fight on the main card, we've got Tai Tuivasa taking on Sergey Pavlovich. Sergey at 16-1, Tai at 15-4. Sergey's at a minus 215, Tai at a plus 185. Okay. We've talked about this before where Tai presents so many intangibles as far as creativity with striking, the chin, the ability to land shots even when he's hurt. Now on the ground, he is of no threat. And I think if you're Sergey, that's what you have to do, right? You've got to put him on the ground. Getting tied to plus 185, Sergey to minus 215, over and arounds 1.5. I'm weirdly drawn to the over, which seems weird in a heavyweight fight where both guys can finish. But I feel like Sergey's not going to want to stay at range with Tai, and it's going to involve a lot of like clinching against the cage, a lot of Tai really, sprawling, pressing that big giant, Polynesian ass up against the cage. So that way Sergey can't get underneath him and dump him on his butt. I feel like that has to be some of it, right? That he cannot get on the ground. If he gets on the ground, things get dicey. I think you're going to see people that are going to, obviously take this fight to end inside the distance, and that's going to come up incredibly chalk. But I think maybe over 1.5. You're gonna sweat it, but I think it might be worth dabbling at, just because I don't know. I don't know. It makes me nervous. It makes me nervous taking overs on big boys. Over 1.5, you're getting at a plus 160. Under 2.5 is minus 450. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 750. So, I mean, you're either sided here or you've got to find value. Do I think that Sergey can get a submission win? I think that's interesting. Sergey by submissions plus 1,400. Um, Pavlovich by KO is -135 respectively. I somehow just see like Sergey pushing him against the cage, working clinch knees, elbows. Ty goes down to the ground. They scramble around a little bit. Oh man, I don't know. From a physiological standpoint, could you rear naked choke a guy like Tai Tuivasa? Like, how big does your body have to be to get behind his body to then choke him out? Dude, every time I bet against Tuivasa, I always end up drinking beer out of a shoe. Just like Mark says here, the shoe. I think, every time I bet against Ty, I drink beer out of a shoe. I'd love to see him win. As far as what I would like to see, I think we see a win here. Or I would like to see Tai Tuivasa, but I think realistically we see Sergey inside the distance. Sergey inside the distance, you're looking at -150, and I think that's the play. I see literally no chance this goes to scorecards. No chance this goes to scorecards. -150 might be the play there. Tie inside the distance, +200 at that point. Can we hedge on that? No, just pick a side. I'll take Sergey inside the distance. That's just where I'm leaning initially. But this might just be a fun one just to sit back and watch. All right. Matus Nicolau taking on Matt Schnell. Schnell at 16-7, Nicolau at 18-2-1. I thought something really funny came across the Twitter feed this week. And dude, it's something that I've thought in my head a million times. And it was just really great to know. Like, it's all, I love like little pieces of confirmation that you get in the world, right? Where like you realize, like, you ever see like a meme or something that's so on brand with what you got going on in your life. You're like, man, I can't believe somebody else is living the same part of the simulation as I am. That happened this week. Eric Betts Fights, Eric Block over at Eric Betts Fights put out a tweet that said, a guy like Nicolau shows up, and I'm just paraphrasing here, shows up and he's like, I can never remember who this guy is. And then I look and see that he's fought in the UFC 7 times, and I have no idea and cannot remember a single one of his fights. And buddy, if this ain't it, if there was ever a dude out there that you think might be part of like the Mandela effect, Matus Nicolau or Mateus or whatever you're gonna say, Nicolau might be that guy. He legitimately might be that guy, because you see him and you see his name pop up and you're like, oh yeah, I think that's familiar. But dude, I'd go dollars to donuts. You could hold a gun to somebody's head, and unless they were Brazilian, I don't think they'd be able to tell you it's all 7 of his fights. I really don't think they'd be able to. Realistically, the only reason why he sticks out in my head whatsoever is because I felt like the split decision nod he got over Manel Cap was brutal, because I was all over Cap in that fight. And he got the split over him in a fight that I had scored for Cap. But it is what it is. Now here he is. He's fighting Matt Schnell. We know Matt Schnell's coming off that comeback of the year over a boy named Sumadarji. And boy, it's real tough. You're gonna see a lot of people on Nicolau this week, right? I think you'll see a good majority of parlays anchored with him. And justifiably so, Schnell really took advantage of an exhausted opponent his last fight. He was getting the shit kicked out of him. No other way to put it. And, that was more, I'm not taking anything away from Matt Schnell's skill set, but boy, exhaustion makes quitters and cowards out of men. And that happened, to a certain extent. Now the reversal was nice. The elbows were great. And then ultimately got the choke. You're going to see a lot of parlays anchored with Nicolau. I will just mostly say that I would caution, proceed sparingly. Schnell is an issue as far as being finished. But your boy Nicolau is not a finisher. Right. Last finish win he had came back in 2019 over Alon Gabriel via Darce choke. And before that, didn't have a finish until 2015. So in the better part of 7 years, has only finished 2 fights. Darce and Japanese necktie. I would caution a play here because Schnell over 3 rounds has cardio, especially if he gets into that little flowy state and he's feeling himself right now. You're going to see a lot of parlays anchored with Nicolau. You will not see that on my end. He may go out there and just beat the brakes off Matt Schnell. And if he does, those of you that are on him, kudos to you. I just can't touch it. Schnell is not a dude. He's just not a guy I want to touch with. And he's not a guy I want to touch because he'll pull some shit out like the Sumadarji thing, or he'll get slept immediately. Or, he is so hit and miss, man. I cannot set my watch to him. So I'm not going to bet him. And I'm not going to take Nicolau at a minus 380 spot here too. I also don't feel comfortable in going with a finish because his wins come via submission, but he's only had 2 finishes in the last 7 years, both of which were submissions, but Schnell's got a decent ground game. I don't see Nicolau knocking him out. I can't touch it. I won't touch it. Take with that information what you will. Let's see here. If only Matt Schnell had durability, his will to fight for your dollar is great. 100%. It's like we talk about like with Phil Hawes. Like Phil Hawes will never be part of a controversial loss. Like Phil Hawes will win or he will go to the hospital, right? Like that's it. Like there's no, Phil Hawes got robbed. No. Phil Hawes was killed or he slept a guy. Like there's just no in between. Like Matt Schnell, if he can make weight, will fight for your money. But yeah, like you said, Pat, I mean, he's just, the durability can be a problem. And the performances are an issue as well. Not only durability, but performatively speaking, he's tough to tail. So at least with any sort of confidence. All right, co-main event evening, RDA, Rafael dos Anjos, 31-14, Brian Barberena, 18-8. Again, keep in mind, we're getting back-to-back fights where this is essentially hometown fights for these guys, as close as we're going to get. Maybe Charlotte would be closer geographically speaking, if the UFC ever goes back there. Okay, Brian Barberena, plus 420, Dos Anjos at minus 550, over on rounds at 2.5. Tailor-made on paper, this is an RDA win. This is a win. He's got good chin. He's got decent wrestling, and his output is there. It's there. I mean, he is tailor-made to give Brian Barberena fits because he won't let he's so intelligent from a fight game plan approach. He won't get into the brawl with Barberena. He won't get into the brawl. He won't engage in that gritty, rough and tumble shit. He just won't do it. And Brian Barberena needs to fight you in a phone booth. He needs to be able to make a fight ugly and gritty and gross, and he wants it to be a basement fight. And RDA is just not going to do that. Minus 550 basically makes him untouchable. I don't see him knocking Barberena out. A submission is possible. You can get RDA by submission at plus 300. And I think that's probably the route outside of a decision. RDA inside the distance, you're getting at plus 180. But I think, dude, I don't know. RDA by decision is at minus 135. I think it's by decision or it's by sub. I don't see the knockout. I don't see a knockout. Barberena is tough. He is gritty. Maybe a body shot. If it's funny is if RDA can get the boxing going and get Barberena on the back foot, the body opens up a great deal. Barberena will either carry the hands too high or too low. And he stands when he's rocked, or not when he's rocked rather, but whenever he's pressured and on the back foot, he stands very square. He does not angle off very well. So RDA can catch him with a body shot, rotating out. or if he can walk him down and put his back against the cage, the body will be open. So I think if the TKO comes, it comes via body shot, knees and hooks to the body. I don't see him knocking him out, to the punch. Those of you that think you're on the Barberena side, Barberena not really carrying a lot of one-punch knockout power, which is what we've seen that you need to beat a guy like RDA. Barberena doesn't really carry that. He needs the brawl. He needs the war of attrition. I don't think RDA gives it to him. I don't see many paths of victory for Brian here. War of attrition. If he can out ugly RDA, sure, but I'd be shocked. All right, main event of the evening: Kevin Holland taking on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. This line has moved a lot. Wonderboy now, it was once a pick'em. You're now getting Kevin Holland at a -160, Wonderboy to +140. If this fight remains a pick'em, and it's close to it, I'm okay with either side. But getting Stephen Thompson at plus money, especially at the +140, makes him the playable side here. Let me take a drink of my beer. Hang on. Quality of competition and the idea that, I mean, if Kevin Holland was smart, he would go out there and try to take Stephen Thompson down. But I said if he was smart, and he's not. I mean, I'm sure he's a passably intelligent dude, and obviously, I mean, he's a professional fighter. His fight IQ is higher than my own. I mean, I think from a game plan perspective, you should game plan to take down a guy like Wonderboy. Why would you stand there and strike with him? I'm not going to go into the whole Wonderboy kickboxing world champion thing, because it's like the kickboxing where they wear Adidas track pants, and I don't know how I feel about that yet. I'm sure the track pants karate guys and the track pants kickboxer guys would be like, "Oh, it's legit. It's legit." So maybe. Producer Jake says no Holland slander. Oh, very rarely has producer Jake ever taken a side on any fighter ever. But he just told me I'm not allowed to no Holland slander. I think the fact that Stephen Thompson has moved into the plus money spot on this fight, you have to take him based off quality of competition and just the overall ability when it's on the feet. Now, reach advantage is going to be Holland. Wonderboy carries the hand so damn low, exits with the chin high. I mean, this feels like a Kevin Holland win forthcoming. Inside the distance will probably just be where I land here. Was talking to my man Nichols, aka Double Nichols, earlier today, and he's under the same assumption I am. There's going to be a lot of violence this weekend, and I think this will be the penultimate piece of violence that we get. I think this fight ends under 4.5. There will be a ton. Don't get me wrong. There will be a ton of happy handshaking, high fives, laughing, pointing, whoa, 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 finger waving, all this kind of shit, as long as it lasts. But I do think this fight ends inside the distance. I think Stephen Thompson will either throw something creative that gets Kevin Holland out of there, or Kevin will catch him with an elbow in the clinch. Wonderboy will circle off into something. He'll time the Stephen Thompson like karate dart in and have Stephen do half the work for him on a jab or a straight. Stephen Thompson, keep in mind, is 40 years old at this point. Now, if we were talking about heavyweights, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't blink an eye. As someone that just is turning 37 today, I wouldn't care about that at all. But 40 years old at 170 pounds is yeah, that's we're past it. You're also, if you're Stephen Thompson, you've got a million other things going on between sponsorships, your school, your Twitch channel, your YouTube channel, and just realistically has not shown a huge commitment to fighting the last couple of years, fighting about once, maybe twice a year. Just doesn't seem really in it. And you're 40 years old. Again, this is as close to a hometown send-off as you're going to get. I think he goes out there and he gives a good honest effort for about 2.5. And if he doesn't, things start to get dicey. I think we see Kevin Holland possibly get him out of there. But the odds, man, the odds would dictate that you would almost have to play Stephen Thompson here if you're on a money line side. I'm just going to go under 4.5. I'm just going to go, like he says here, I'm going to go with the violence play. I'm just going to go violence. I'm going under 4.5. And I'm just going to watch the main event and just be happy that if somebody goes to sleep. So under 4.5, minus 160, I'll take it. I know it's chalky, but I'll take it. I'll take the finish. I'll give Kevin Holland or Wonder Boy. I'll give them their due and just hope that they can finish one another. So we'll just hope for maybe a double knockout, right? We almost got one with the Trezano and what's it called, Choi fight. So we almost got one. Maybe we'll get one of these days. All right, let's run through these prelims real quick. Like I said, I'm gonna go celebrate the birthday with the wife. All right, women. Yasmin Uruguay taking on Estela Nunez. Nunez at 6-3, Uruguay at 9-0. Minus 300 on Uruguay. Nunez plus 250. If you're on a money line play here, okay, Nunez. Yasmin looked really good in her last fight. She will probably be heavy on the DraftKings side. If you do DraftKings, Yasmin will probably be. She's probably going to be one of your $9,000 fighters, man, because her output is crazy, and this fight has a good chance of ending inside the distance. Inside the distance for this fight is worth a small consideration. Fight doesn't go to decision, plus 150. You got two women that are going to go out there and throw. So this is a good chance for a plus money play right off the front or right off the rip, right up front, the front of the card. These women are in this position for a reason. They are to get the crowd fired up. It's like I said, you got UFC Orlando. They're going to be in there. People will not be rolling in as the main card kicks off. It should be fairly crowded right from the rip. And justifiably so. These women will get things started quickly. Inside the distance here, plus 150 is what I'm looking at. But I won't hate anybody that takes Nunez just because, plus 250 on a women's fight. And then, like I said, you'll see her on DraftKings. She'll be one of your $9,000 folks. Francis Marshall taking on Marcelo Rojo. Marshall to minus 158, Rojo plus 138. I would advise you to stay away from this play. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to be very confident on Francis Marshall, similar to like the Brady high stand comfortability. Like we saw a lot of people on high stand last week or week before last or whatever that was at a minus 170, and high stand at times had problems. You could see this very same thing out of Marshall come Saturday. I'm advising you stay away from it because Rojo is tied to James Krause, and that whole thing has a stain and a stink on it right now. So I would just stay away. Marshall is not that dude to feel overly confident going in. Rojo comes out and is ready to bang each and every time. You can say, oh, well, you got the Contender Series fade on Marshall or whatever the case may be. Let's play this fight at your own risk. I will not touch this one. Possibly consider an inside the distance play here. Again, I'm going to lean a lot this weekend on violence. Fight doesn't go to decision here. You're getting a minus 185. So, the line is priced in. Okay. Next fight, Natan Levy taking on Genaro Valdez. Valdez at 10-1, Levy at 7-1. Minus 185 on Levy. Valdez plus 160, over-under on 2.5. I've seen some people on Valdez here, and I get it. I think the creativity of Levy on the feet will get it done there. I can't play him at the 185, and I'm not trusting Valdez at plus 160. As it stands right now, slight lean towards Levy. Slight lean. Tracy Cortez at 10-1 taking on Amanda Hebus. Cortez, as of right now, this fight's really close to a pick'em, right? I've seen her at plus money. I think come Saturday, Cortez will be the favorite. So still haven't dialed in whether or not women's science plays into the, if the line shifts, but had a pretty long conversation about this fight today. I'm on Cortez based off of the wrestling and the wrestling cardio, right? I don't love her hands. I don't love her submissions. I just like wrestling, and I like the wrestling cardio. It would appear that Tracy Cortez can wrestle for days. It appears that she can wrestle for days. Amanda Hebus, yes, submissions are a thing. Her hands are rudimentary. I will always take wrestlers over jiu-jitsu. I don't know. I don't think there's a more fundamental foundation to build your fight game on other than wrestling. I mean, yes. I mean, of course, jiu-jitsu is important. Of course, striking is important. Just fundamentally speaking, if you can dictate whether the fight is standing or on the ground, you're just at an advantage that just really kind of sets you apart. Be interested to see if Cortez can't secure. If she can't secure a takedown, I think it turns into a 50-50 sloppy women's boxing affair. I guess I would give Hebus the edge there. If Cortez can't get going early, I don't want to see this fight close to even going into the third round. I'll tell you that. I would like to see Cortez dominant from the jump, get Amanda flustered. I'm on Cortez as a play right now, but I also locked it in when I saw her at plus 100 because I thought I'll play her at plus money. If I can get her at plus money, I'm going to play her at it. So I've got to play in on it there. If it flip flops to Hebus, I might see how far the line gets steamed and hedge, but we'll see. What if we can get Hebus all the way in the plus 115, plus 125 range? Sure. I mean, sure. Why not? Go ahead and lock it in. We'll see. Maybe, just a chance of that thing moving a little bit. So, but I'm on Cortez for right now. All right. Darren Elkins taking on JSP. Pierce at 13-4. Elkins at 27-10. Pierce at a minus 450. Elkins at plus 350 here. I people say play Elkins because of the heart, right? And avoid JSP because potential cardio issues. But I think Elkins is cooked. I think the damage is done in more ways than one. While JSP here minus 450 makes it real tough. But yeah, JSP, it's weird because I want to say with Cub knocking out Elkins, take JSP by knockout. But this fight is inevitably going to get ugly, right? I mean, it's inevitably going to get ugly. Darren Elkins, last time out, got a win over Tristan Connolly. Oh, bro. I mean, last couple wins for Darren, Eduardo Gregori, Derek Minner, Tristan Connolly. I think we can go ahead and say that JSP is better than all three of those guys. And I think JSP is probably the level of fighter that's just right above what Darren Elkins is capable of beating. Now, Elkins could withstand the storm. He's got a chance. Elkins round 3 KO. I mean, sure, why not? If there's ever a guy to play it on, that's the dude, right? That say he just adapts and overcomes. Elkins wins in round 3 plus 2,500. It's there. Elkins wins by TKO in round 3. You're at plus 4,000. If there's a guy that can hit a bet like that, it's Darren Elkins, right? But I'm not touching it. I'm on JSP here. JSP inside the distance. You're getting at basically even money. So JSP inside the distance right now, you're getting a minus 115. And I think that's the play. There. There's no point in don't overthink it. I think Elkins is cooked. Okay. Michael Johnson, Mark DeCasey at 16-5. Michael Johnson at 20-18. Disclaimer, say it every time. Not a dude out there with a tougher record than Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson's fought everybody. He's literally a sleeper as far as hardest strength of schedule in UFC history, outside of maybe Dustin Poirier, who Michael Johnson has a win over. So very tough for Michael Johnson for anybody to argue they've had a tougher go of things than Michael Johnson, but he stays around plus 250 here against Mark DeCasey. DeCasey wins this fight, right? He'll either wrestle him, or if it's striking, he's got better, more powerful striking. He's slower. Michael Johnson's biggest weapon has always been his speed. Michael Johnson tends to get caught no matter what. He's never just up huge in a fight. He just can't do it. He can't help himself. He allows other people back into fights. Mark DeCasey, if he is losing on the feet will wrestle, and we know that he can do it. DeCasey by sub, DeCasey by decision. I don't see him knocking out Michael Johnson. It's possible, but it's possible. I like DeCasey here. DeCasey is a parlay piece for me this weekend, and I usually love playing Michael Johnson based on speed, and then he gives everybody a fight. So, you know, I'll take DeCasey here. I'll take him. I'll put him. I'll parlay him as well. So let's see, just real quick. What's DeCasey? DeCasey inside the distance plus 240. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what other kind of prop lines I can get on it. All right. Clay Guida taking on Scott Holtzman. Holtzman at 14-5. Guida at 37-22. It's just hilarious that these are actual records. Guida 37-22. He's fighting Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman. Holtzman out of Tennessee again, very close to a hometown fight. You're not going to get much closer for Holtzy. It's tough to count out Clay Guida, right? It's tough to count him out. Holtzman hits hard. He'll be the bigger guy physically, but if he can't knock out Clay Guida, he's not going to outwork him. Nobody outworks Guida, even still when he's, 107 years old. He's tough to outwork. Guida's a live dog here. Talk about guys that'll fight for your money. Clay Guida's that guy. I don't know if he'll see my money, but this is a violence play for me too, because I think Holtzman's path to victory is inside the distance. And Guida has potential to outwork him. Don't be shocked. Clay Guida somehow finds a way to fit those slippery little carpenter arms around necks and all kinds of shit, man. That dude's weird. I look, things are getting bad whenever Guida comes out and his brother doesn't slap him as hard as he used to anymore. So, but I'll probably stay away from this fight, but maybe an inside the distance play. All right. Angela Hill, Emily Ducote. Ducote at 12-6. Angela Hill at 14-12. I will just bet Angela Hill at plus money at this point. She finds herself in split decisions each and every time she's out, and she's at plus money. You just take the woman that always puts herself in position to win a fight. If you're on Ducote, take Ducote by split decision. If you're on Angela Hill, take Angela Hill by split decision. Play both of these women, like we saw when we had Lou on the show. Play both of these women by split decision and play the split decision as well. You will make money because that's where this fight's going. Okay. And then we've got Nico Price, Phil Rowe. You're going to get Phil Rowe at a plus 120 on Nico Price at a minus 140. If you're on Nico Price, take him in round 1. If you're on Phil Rowe, take him in rounds 2 and round 3, or just take him outright money line. As the fight goes on, Phil Rowe gets better, but he sucks initially when he first comes out. He's always a slow starter. He does not look great initially. It takes him a while to get into the fight. Nico Price comes out like a wild man and can potentially get him out of there early. So Nico Price under 1.5. Nico Price round 1. Phil Rowe round 2, round 3. Or just outright money line. And then last but not least, the featured prelim, Eric Anders at 14-7, Kyle Dawkins at 11-3. I say it every time. I'll say it again. Eric Anders is the only fighter that I've ever interviewed that the interview was so bad I didn't release it. I don't know if he was drunk, high, didn't want to do it, all that in between. It was a nightmare audio. Just a mess. And I can't. Ooh, it just sits there. I don't even know if I have it saved anymore. I might have just deleted it in its entirety, but it was real bad. And full disclaimer, you guys know I don't like the Dawkins brothers. Eric Anders at a plus 190 here. Eric Anders is a dog. He'll fight for your money. He's strong like bull. Kyle Dawkins is softer than duck shit. I'm on Eric Anders here. Eric Anders, get it done. Plus 190. Give it to me. Swap better people. Cardio is an issue. It's either Anders by KO or Dawkins by sub. I'll lean towards Anders by KO. All right. So top to bottom, just initial leans. I will post everything on Twitter at Punchless MMA prior to the fight card starting. I'll start putting in my bets throughout the week as I see stuff that I like, and then I'll post it all for you guys on Friday or Saturday. Uruguay Nunes, again, just leans here. I'm on Uruguay, Rojo, Levy, Cortez, Pierce, DeCasey, Holtzman, Hill, Rowe, Anders, Delidze, Pavlovich, Nicolau, RDA, and Kevin Holland. So, all right. I'm going to go spend some time with the fam. I appreciate everybody that continues to tune in. If you want to, feel free to hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you want. Maybe we can get this thing back to where it once was. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that crap. If not, that's cool too. I love you guys. I appreciate everybody that continues to support the show. Have a good rest of your week. I'll see everybody on Saturday. Cheers.